Hiya! Let's get started. So I came up with this little presentation called The Road of Life. The road could be abstract as possible, but in actuality it's just simple. The road of life is just jumbled up and abstract. Now in the road of life you usually go by emotions. Now these emotions can range from emotions. Now you have hate, you have love, and then you have the I don't care or the whatever. Let me drag away love and hate and whatever and show you something. Now if you go from the emotional path, which tells you, what emotion you're going through, what emotion you plan to live your life by. Now there's love, but if you take away love, there's something underneath love, falling into relationships. And that means that love brings everything to you, and you can happily be married. Now this character that I brought together for this, his name is Mr. He. Now Mr. He goes and he wants to get a job, and he wants to go to work. Now Mr. He becomes a designer, and he follows his dreams, and he lives happily and through everything. But one night, Mr. He is leaving a 7-Eleven, and he's with his wife. They're leaving. He just went and got some milk from 7-Eleven, which is a terrible choice. Never drink milk from 7-Eleven. But he decided, I want to have cereal in the morning, so I think I'll get some milk. So that comes down to the sacrifice he has to make. Now, the sacrifice I drew in was he gets robbed or mugged, and he decides no matter what, his love will mean more to him than his own life. And so Mr. He dies that night protecting his wife. Now this is all following the path of love. Now the path of love, you would think, oh, this is supposed to be love and it's supposed to mean something. You're supposed to go and fulfill, continue. But from love comes pain. And why is that, you would ask? Well, I can't answer that question. I'm not a mathematician or anything of that great value, so I can't add up what these things mean. Now, there is another emotion that I was talking about earlier. That emotion is called hate. And from hate comes nothing. Now, in your relationships for hate, there's cheating, and that's it, really. I mean, and there's also some domestic violence that comes with it because you have no love in your heart to feel for someone else. So, for the first thing, you automatically become this hurtful man who has nothing to give to anything, and he's just, Mr. He is evil and filled with destruction. And a lot of people would joke about that and say that that's the way they want to live, but in reality, who wants to be with someone who freely embraces their imperfections in a way that could hurt themselves more than anyone else? Mr. He, after living with hate, he has to get a job. Now, Mr. He gets a job where he makes a lot of money, but the sad thing is, he hurts all of his underlings for little or no reason at all. You hurt him at home, you hurt him in the workplace, you hurt him everywhere. Now, Mr. He, I had to choose a sacrifice for Mr. He. So, Mr. He is coming out of seeing a movie, and he decided to go see Man of Steel. Now, he leaves angry because Man of Steel is a terrible movie, and he can't think of anything to do because of the anger that's filling his head with thoughts of destruction because of how bad of an experience he just put himself through. and Mr. Lee is confronted by an assailant. That assailant says, "Give me all of your money, or I will kill you." Now, Mr. He thinks, like all macho-filled anger people do. He says no, then he goes to fight him. Mr. He is murdered for being so cruel, and the sad thing is, he deserved it. Now, there was another emotion, but that alone would end the video, and I would have to say, choose love or hate. But in reality, there is another emotion. The third and final emotion I created for this understanding would be the whatever, or the I don't care emotion. Now, this is the worst of them all because you basically go through a bout with apathy your whole life. Now, I obviously start off with relationship, but due to lack of emotion, he never learns to love, and he never gets into a relationship. He never feels towards anyone else. The next step in Mr. He's life would be getting a job. Now, Mr. He loses all of his aspiration. Thus, he never gets the job he actually wants and works towards, so he lives in utter sadness. And the third level that I created for this would be the sacrifice that they make that ends their life. But this version of Mr. He dies in a car accident 2 weeks before this event. What I'm trying to say is, Mr. He lives inside all of us. Mr. He is what personally pushes us towards something or tears us down and places us in spaces we never want to be in. Mr. He is the soul inside every living person, or, for my female viewers, Mrs. She, because they are the base of us. Now, I never put a look on Mr. He. I never put a race towards him, his little aspects, what he wants, because in reality, a designer designs things for people. Now, you think, oh, designers can only be artists and musicians, when that's not true. The IRS agent is a designer also. What's the difference? He designs your taxes. He designs what you do. He designs to, in reality, he designs to help you, because as terrible as it may be, the IRS man is going to come one day for everyone. He's going to knock on the door and, say hello and ask to be let in, because there's only so much you can do by yourself. No one's perfect. You could get two into one job and then you realize that the other one isn't there and the work you did was for naught. What I'm trying to say is, live for love, don't live for hate, and whatever you do, don't think whatever.